Last December 3rd at 9:47 in the evening, Officer Noah Liotta had a suspected impaired driver stopped on Rockville Pike. He had gotten the driver's license and registration from that driver, and he was walking back to his car when he was struck by a vehicle and received injuries that proved to be fatal. The driver of that vehicle was Luis Gustavo Reluzco. Yesterday, investigators assigned to our collision reconstruction unit testified in front of a grand jury as to the results of their investigation. And as a result, Mr. Reluzco has been indicted with manslaughter by automobile and failing to move over upon approaching an emergency vehicle. Information was presented to the grand jury that Mr. Reluzco admitted to drinking for 3 hours in a bar, consuming beers as well as shots of bourbon. When his blood was tested after the crash, he had a .22 blood alcohol level, as well as a presence of a central nervous system depressant in his blood, one that should not be taken with alcohol. Investigators have determined that he had been arrested at least 3 previous times for alcohol-related offenses. I believe this is a case of an individual who displayed an absolute indifference for the lives and safety of drivers on the road. And the fact is that there are many other people in this county and in this state that think nothing about taking drugs, drinking alcohol, and getting behind the wheel of a car. It's time for the people of this state to say enough is enough. When a repeat drunk driver continues to get behind the wheel of a car with an absolute callous indifference for other people's lives. And even when someone is driving drunk and kills someone else, the penalties in this state are disgraceful. It's time for the Maryland General Assembly to do something about the hundreds of needless deaths that occur every year. Last year, 20,000 people were locked up for drunk driving in the state of Maryland. 130 people died in 2014 because of a drunk driver. In Montgomery County last year, 9 people were killed because of a drunk driver. One of them was Noah Liotta. But all 9 of them left devastated families and a grieving community. These deaths are preventable, and they have to stop. It's time for the state of Maryland to take drunk driving seriously. Delegate Ben Cramer and Senator Jamie Raskin have introduced legislation that will save lives. It requires people convicted of drunk driving to use an interlock ignition device to start their cars. That is the best solution we have so far to keep someone who is impaired from endangering others on our highways. You can suspend somebody's license, but they'll drive anyway. You can try to deter drunk drivers with the threat of being caught, but research tells us that a person will likely drive 80 times before they're caught driving drunk. But an interlock device will save lives by not allowing someone who is impaired to start their car in the first place. This keeps drunks off the road. If Mr. Reluzco had had to use an ignition interlock device, Noah would be alive today. Delegate Kathleen Dumais, Delegate David Fraser Hidalgo have also proposed legislation that will toughen our DUI laws in this state, enhance penalties, and longer sentences will begin to demonstrate real consequences to those who are so callously indifferent to the safety of others. I'm grateful for the work that was done by my collision reconstruction unit, by my alcohol initiative section, and by the state's attorney's office. We will continue to fight for justice in Annapolis and on the streets of Montgomery County for every single victim of a drunk driver.